Good afternoon as the heat rolls on in Seattle today. From the KUOW newsroom, this is Seattle Now. I'm Paige Browning with a roundup of today's top stories. It's Wednesday, July 22nd. Beaches and public spaces with AC are going to be busy tonight as Seattle sweats through the last hours of this heat wave. Temperatures in Seattle hit at least 90 in the Georgetown neighborhood and 95 in both Bryant and across the water in Bellevue. We saw the north end of Olympia at 98 and at least 99 in Gig Harbor and atop Mount Rainier, 57 degrees at Camp Muir. The heat advisory for Seattle expires at 11 p.m. tonight, and after that, there's a chance of thunderstorms and 30% chance of rain until 3 a.m. King County homelessness authorities have a Tier 2 severe weather activation in place until Friday morning. That means there are daytime cooling centers in the hottest parts of King County, and social service providers get HVAC inspections. And I know you'll want to be out on the water if possible, but authorities will remind you to please wear life jackets. The Pierce County Sheriff's Office says a 60-year-old man died yesterday morning. Rescuers tried to save him as he clung to a sinking kayak in the water near Dash Point Park. Deputies say there was no life jacket on board the boat. The next big story today: the major immigration detention center in Tacoma is fighting to block state health inspections. That's despite a recent court order. Sarah Mises-Tan has more.
The detention center has been locked in a court battle with the state. KUOW Group, the private contractor that runs the jail, has refused for years to let health officials examine conditions inside. Earlier this month, a judge ordered KUOW Group to allow the inspections, but the company got a judge to pause that order, pushing the deadline for health inspections until next month. The state has received thousands of complaints over unsanitary living conditions in the jail. KUOW Group did not comment for this story, but has said in the past that the state does not have the authority to regulate a federal contractor. The company wants Washington state officials to get clearance from the federal government first. A U.S. appeals judge has until August 7th to determine if KUOW Group will get more time to postpone health inspections. In Olympia, I'm Sarah Mises-Tan.
Locally, talk about school lunches exploded in Seattle today. A plan to launch universal free school meals has been delayed by a Seattle City Council committee. Noelle Gasca reports the proposal was backed by Mayor Katie Wilson.
Wilson wanted to launch free meals for all students in Seattle with funding from the voter-backed Families, Education, Preschool, and Promise Levy as soon as this fall. But Councilmember Joy Hollingsworth says families that face the greatest barriers to accessing food deserve a more equitable solution, a voucher program that could pay for groceries whenever.
What I've heard from parents and teachers and communities was about supplementing weekend and holiday school breaks.
Hollingsworth's plan would still provide low-income students access to meals during the school day. But other members of the council rejected the idea of delaying universal meals for 1 year. Councilmember Rob Saka voted no on the amendment.
Passing universal free school meal program in the city of Seattle now, today, is the number one, in my view, the number one most impactful thing we can do.
In a statement shared by her office, Mayor Wilson said she's disappointed with the decision to delay universal meals for a full year. But she'll work with the council to roll out the new voucher program and universal school meals in 2027. The package will now go to the full council for a final vote. Noelle Gasca, KUOW News.
Imagine you get a job, then get fired an hour later. That's what happened to attorney Roger Rogoff, and he's suing President Trump's administration over it. A federal judge appointed Rogoff as the new U.S. attorney for Western Washington last week. He is suing over the fact that he got fired shortly after, saying his dismissal by the Trump administration was illegal and cannot stand. Rogoff got the job after the Trump administration failed to formally nominate their appointee, former immigration judge Charles Neal Floyd, in time. Staying with federal news, U.S. Senator Patty Murray, the top Democrat on the Senate's Appropriations Committee, says she won't vote to give the Department of Defense more money. She and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth got into a heated exchange during a hearing yesterday. It's been making the rounds online. Hegseth was asking Congress for $67 billion related to the war in Iran. Murray told NPR's Morning Edition today Hegseth has mismanaged previously approved money.
So asking for it in an emergency is robbing us of our ability to be able to pay for all the things that our country really needs right now to be economically strong, whether it's healthcare or education or housing or research, so that we can be a strong country far into the future.
The request for extra funding is on top of the administration's proposed $1.5 trillion defense budget. Hegseth told lawmakers the department needs the funding to properly prepare the troops. Rounding out today's show, we get outside for bison and wildland fire news. But first, the tech beat. Hiring for tech jobs in the Seattle area is slowing dramatically. Job openings for software engineers declined 56% over just the past month. That's according to new data from the Workforce Development Council of Seattle-King County. Jeremy Warren is a director of impact at the nonprofit.
To these individuals, they did everything right. They went and got the skills in the sector that was forecasted to be growing, and now they find themselves trying to navigate a really tough labor market, especially for people who have been recently laid off. How do they do that without downshifting completely or pivoting completely?
Some workers are pivoting to fields like healthcare, which is seeing significant growth as tech hiring cools off. But often that jump means taking a pay cut, and that downward mobility could have broad impacts on the local economy. Not much smoke this week for Seattle, but we have no shortage of wildland fires in the Northwest. Fire officials in eastern Washington and Idaho say the next few days will be critical as the chance for thunderstorms and gusty winds increases tomorrow. Officials at Washington's Kaiser Canyon fire near Nespelem say the fire was more active Tuesday because of heat and wind. About 600 people are working that fire and one in North Idaho, and many of them are from outside the region.
We're in kind of uncharted territory in regards to the number of teams and where they are so widely dispersed across the United States.
Deputy Incident Commander Mark Gohler says he's lucky to have the teams he's got, given the huge demand nationally for wildland firefighters. And we'll end with the guy who was tossed in the air by a bison. He's on the road to recovery from his fall. 65-year-old Carl McDaniel of Whatcom County was charged by a bison in Yellowstone National Park earlier this month. He spoke this week from his hospital bed in Bozeman, Montana.
They move faster than you could ever imagine. He just kept coming, and he was more aggressive. And as soon as he got off that tree, he launched me in the air.
Bison can run 30 miles an hour, according to Yellowstone National Park, a major site of conservation for the long-hunted species. It is the only place in the United States where bison have lived continuously since prehistoric times. McDaniel was tossed by one several feet in the air and suffered a fractured hip from the landing. And he says, despite the pain,
I always felt safe and secure. I wasn't ever terrified.
National Park officials say the bull was displaying natural wild behavior. Next time on Seattle Now, it's Seattle Art Fair weekend. And our city is also getting a brand new art fair this weekend called Assembly.
Nobody wants to create some kind of competition or beef between these two things. But the fact of the matter is, it can be really expensive for gallery owners to get a booth at Seattle Art Fair.
Hear more about both fairs and how to enjoy them Thursday morning. That's all for today from the KUOW Newsroom in Seattle. Our producer is Vaughn Jones, and I'm Paige Browning. Seattle Now and KUOW are members of the NPR network. Catch you later.